Welcome to the May 17th business meeting, just a couple of days after the election. And first off, we're going to ask Laurel Buttman, Deputy County Administrator, please take the roll.
Certainly. We have a couple of commissioners missing today. We have Commissioner Savas, who's at a transportation meeting. Benjamin, I thought you had some more information about that. Okay. And then, of course, Martha Schrader is still in China. So a roll call. And I'd like to introduce our County Council, Nate Boderman, and Mary Rathke, clerk to the board next to me. And so roll, Commissioner Reynolds.
Here.
Commissioner Fisher. Here. Commissioner Humberston.
Here.
And Chair Bernard.
Here. Before we do the Pledge of Allegiance, I wanted to announce that Commissioner Savas is not here today because he's attending the Oregon Transportation Commission meeting in Portland. As you know, Paul is really involved in transportation, and there's a conversation about I-205 and I-5 tolling. Wanted to make sure that he had the opportunity to give the county's position and concerns about what tolling could do to our communities through diversion. And he's down there giving our county perspective. So with that, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And first up on the agenda, I'll announce that the board will recess as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as the Housing Authority Board for the next item. And I'd like to introduce Paul Reynolds, one of the commissioners on the Housing Authority Board.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll turn it over to Chuck. Well, what are we doing?
I'll do it. It's fine. So I'd like to invite up Georgia Marlton, our procurement director, and Tony, are you going to come up too? Yeah, Tony Carter from Health, Housing, and Human Services and for Housing Authority. We're doing a approval of a resolution to exempt and authorize the use of a request for proposal method to obtain a construction manager, general contractor project for the Hillside Manor renovation.
Great.
Good morning. Again, George Marlton, Procurement Division Director. Thank you for having us today. We're here to ask for approval of a resolution, again, for the exemption for normal procurement rules to allow us to use a request for proposal process for us on the Hillside Manor project. We did talk about this on Tuesday at the issue study session, and I think we kind of went over overview of the main project. Again, we will be asking for, with this resolution, an exemption, but however, we will be conducting a request for proposal process, if it's approved, for us to hire a construction manager, general contractor for the project.
Okay. Do you want to add anything?
Hillside Manor is a property that helps our elderly and disabled low-income families. So the project is near and dear to our heart. It's the first high-rise in Oregon City. So, and so it does need
Milwaukee.
In Milwaukee, sorry. Yeah. So I just wanted you to know the goal and the population it serves.
Great, and it is in Milwaukee. It's the tallest building in Milwaukee. Actually, it was the tallest building in Clackamas County, if I remember right. And it was built a long time ago in the 60s and has not been remodeled for quite some time. And most of the folks who live there are our most vulnerable senior citizen disabled. So with that, any questions or comments from the board?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing, and I have one blue card, Les Poole, so you guys can, thank you.
Good morning. Les Poole. I live in Gladstone, but I've been in the, I call it, neighborhood for 20-some years. Got friends that live at Hillside Manor. I know there's security issues there. I remember we had we've had a plethora of things there, so I'm certainly here to support exactly what's being proposed. My caution, as always, is how much money are we going to spend in the end? How are we going to avoid cost overruns? When we write this authorization, Easton Ridge comes to mind. So I bring up Easton Ridge, and I just bring up situations where we're trying to make something happen. We all know we're doing the right thing, and we sign off on something, and then we run into the problems. I'm not accusing anyone of anything or saying that what happens here is even close to what you've seen with the Portland Public School District, but those are the kind of things that give you, government, a bad name because you signed off on it. So I just hope there's a lot of caution and oversight here. And again, I certainly support what we're doing and what the need is. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Well, with that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Excuse me.
Oh, you have the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll be happy to, Mr. Chairman. I move we approve Resolution 1930 for exemption and authorization to use the request for proposal method to obtain a construction manager general contractor for the Hillside Manor renovation project.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve of Resolution 1930 for exemption and authorization to use request for proposal method to obtain a construction manager, general contractor for the Hillside Manor renovation project. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. The next item is the Housing Authority consent agenda. Would you please read the consent agenda?
Of course. The Housing Authority consent agenda. Approval to enter into a housing assistance payment contract with Northwest Housing Alternative Campus Redevelopment Limited Partnership for their campus redevelopment project. Approval to apply for Family Unification Program vouchers through the Notice of Funding Availability years 2017-2018. And approval to apply for additional mainstream vouchers through the Notice of Funding Availability. That concludes the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Do any commissioners want to remove any item from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the Housing Authority consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much, and thank you, Paul, for taking your time to come here today.
Thank you.
Thanks. With that, we will return as the Board of County Commissioners and adjourn as the Housing Authority Board. And first up, it's citizen communication. And I have one, Les Poole. By the way, congratulations on the Gladstone Library measure. I think there's a lot of great opportunity to be better partners.
Yeah, and that was one of those things that started out as a monster. Has the clock started yet? I'm just having fun here. That started out as a monster, and it was unaffordable for Gladstone, and I was one of the people, it was one of those people that adamantly worked against what we were doing 5-6 years ago. Of course, I was vilified for it, but so be it. In the end, we've got something that, it's not perfect, but it's far better than what we started with. I'm concerned that Oak Grove is going to be trying to build a Taj Mahal, which was part of the problem in Gladstone. As someone that lived in Oak Grove for 20 years, I certainly support doing something at Concord School or wherever it works. And I appreciate all the hard work you guys have done because it's been a real pain in the rear, and I know it, and you know it. I got a couple of quick items. One of them is evening meetings. I've already been chastised. I wasn't here last week.
I couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Have
I
it
just
coming,
couldn't
yeah.
resist.
I was on the road. I love the word chastise. You know, I say it in
Just
jest.
missed you, Les.
While I was on the road, you'd be amazed at how many photos I took of the roads and how much transportation and traffic I observed. That was part of what I did. And when you get everywhere from Bend to Salem to Medford to Klamath Falls, you get to see a lot. I was even in Tule Lake. So my concerns are about our roads and our transportation system and our distribution of goods. It's a repetitive theme here that I hope is well documented in today's minutes. Les Poole, once again, brought this up. We have got to fix our roads. We've got to expand our roads. And that brings me to tolling. I'm glad Paul's been doing what he's doing. I do not believe for 1 minute, and I don't think the public believes, that the current proposals for tolling that do not address the need to expand the roads, because frankly, Metro and TriMet and the people that are in control of transportation, along with ODOT, have an agenda that supersedes that. They're doing it wrong. They're not in the spirit of what we were told that tolling would be for. I was in Salem. Well, we can't fix 205. Once again, Clackamas County gets the short end of the stick, right? That's what's happened, just like it did with the land use issues, with the urban reserves. So I'm back. I'm talking about our roads. I'm deeply concerned about what's being proposed. And the county is going to have to stand up to ODOT and say, no way, or the citizens will take action. And the citizens taking action is something I don't fear, but hopefully it won't be necessary. You're going to see an uprising about this. This is being mishandled. We're not getting an option of tolling the freeway and expanding the capacity. Instead, we're getting the runaround, and we're getting a new, for lack of a better description, we're getting a new tax. So please, no wishy-washy opinions on this. And please don't listen to Mark Gamba. Mark Gamba is not the person that's going to give you the right information about how well tolling is going to work. This is a disaster. And I appreciate your time. I'll cede the rest of my time to any of you that would care to respond, since I'm over my 3 minutes. Thank you.
It's exactly what Paul is down there saying, by the way.
Thank
is
you.
that we're concerned that tolling would cause diversion, and we think that tolling should add additional capacity, and that people who want to go faster should pay for it.
If we're going to have tolling.
If we're going to have tolling, yeah.
And it shouldn't be on all lanes at the same time. We need
Right.
to think strategically about times and when and what lanes, so that we actually reduce congestion based on the economics of it.
Yep.
Yep.
That's right. Okay, so we're on to, what's up?
Yes, we have 3 public hearings. I'm going to invite Ken Martin, our value change consultant, and he and Nico are going to walk us through these. The first one is an annexation to the Clackamas County Service District.
This is an annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1. It's the area there near Carver where the junction of 224, 212 is. They apparently are going to upgrade their facility, and they need to have sewers in order to do it. WES, Water Environment Services, has lines in the area that can serve that site, and we'd recommend approval.
You said this was the what? What's it?
It's near Carver. It's at the intersection of 212,
Is
224.
that trailer park?
No, the commercial
Oh,
site,
okay.
right there on the corner.
Okay. All right, I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to testify on this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the board order for boundary change proposal number CL17-019, annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the board order for boundary change proposal CL17-019, annexation Clackamas County Service District Number 1. Any further discussion? These are always really tough. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? Motion carries. So we're on to the next item.
Yes, this is another annexation to Service District Number 1.
This annexation is a single lot. It's located within the city of Happy Valley. They need sewer service for that lot. There is a proposal apparently to turn the house that's on that lot into an adult foster care facility. I did have a call, as did Mary, from a property owner nearby who has a concern about that use. I tried to contact Happy Valley and find out what their process was. I was unable to do that. And I simply told the property owner of the adjacent lot that he should contact Happy Valley on that issue because it's not a county issue. This is just a sewer issue for us.
Yeah.
So there is a line in the street available to serve the site, and we'd recommend approval.
Yeah, and in that case, it's Happy Valley that would make that decision, not us. So I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to testify on this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the board order for boundary change proposal number CL18-001, annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the board order for boundary change proposal CL18-001, annexation to Clackamas County Service District Number 1. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll entertain, we already did that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
And
Next.
our final annexation hearing is for an annexation to the Sunrise Water Authority.
Again, Sunrise has a water line in the street to serve a single-family dwelling. This is an existing house. They simply want water service. It's in a fairly rural area. There are no sewers in this area. So the water service is there, and we recommend approval.
All right. I will open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to testify on this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the board order for boundary change proposal number CL18-002, annexation to Sunrise Water Authority.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve board order for border change proposal CL18-002, annexation to Sunrise Water District. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ken. Now I'd like to invite Wendy Coriel up from our street lighting district. We have 8 hearings on this. Our first one is forming a one-lot assessment area within Clackamas County Service District Number 5, self-storage building.
So I will adjourn as the Board of County Commissioners and convene as Service District Number 5, street lighting.
Good morning, Commissioners. I know the PowerPoint's coming down. So before that starts, I'll go ahead and just say good morning. I'm Wendy Coriel, and I represent Clackamas County Service District Number 5. It's the agency responsible for street lighting in the unincorporated areas of Clackamas County and also for the city of Happy Valley. Street lighting is required as conditions of approval for all new residential, commercial, industrial, and multi-family developments within the urban area of Clackamas County and in the city of Happy Valley. And it can also be installed through the district's petitioning process. And today we have both of those. There's going to be 8 service district areas for your consideration today. 5 are in the unincorporated area of Clackamas County and 3 are in the city of Happy Valley. It's not coming up, so I'll just continue through. So the first area for consideration is a self-storage building, which is on Oak Grove Boulevard. It's area 13-17. We're going to have Cobra lights installed with the the potential of being on the wood poles, but there's a chance that it could be on fiberglass poles. It's a commercial rate at $1.25 per frontage foot per tax lot each year, and that comes under rate D. The second area is 45-17. This is a 3-lot partition, and this is on Manuel Lane. We'll have Cobra lights on wood poles, and this will come to rate B at $50.01 per tax lot each year. The next area is 40-17. It's a 4-lot subdivision on southeast, back, there we go, on K Street. And we will have Cobra lights added to new fiberglass poles. These will come at a rate C at $70.12 per tax lot each year. The next area is 69-17. This is a 8-lot subdivision on southeast Eckert Lane. This will have shoebox lights and poles and will come under rate H, and that is $91.88 per tax lot each year. The next 3 areas for your consideration all are in the city of Happy Valley. And we have area 08-17. This is a 50-lot subdivision on southeast 172nd Avenue. Area 1917, which is a 25-lot subdivision on southeast Sunnyside. And then area 42-16. It's a 58-lot subdivision on southeast 152nd Avenue. We'll have Westbrook lights and decorative poles. And these will come under rate W at $245 per tax lot each year. The last area for consideration is a petition, area 64-17. This is a 6-lot petition on southeast Laurie Avenue. We'll have Cobra lights installed on the existing wood poles, and these will come into rate B at $50.01 per tax lot each year. In order to install streetlights via the district's petitioning process, the petition must have at least 51% of the property owners in the proposed area that signed the petition. And ultimately, in this case, we had 83%, which is 5 out of the 6 property owners that had requested to be part of that district and signed in approval of that. And so we sent out notice for all of those areas, and there were no remonstrances received. And that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm interested in what is the basis for the different types of poles that you use? Is that, how do you come to that conclusion, I guess would be the question.
Well,
You don't, they do.
there's several different light categories. There's 12 rate categories, and all of them have different styles of poles and lights. And the way we determine which one is going to be chosen for that area is typically through going out and doing site assessment and seeing what will work for that area, and then working in conjunction with PGE to establish what the plan for the project is. In the case of a petition, we go out and we assess whether or not there's existing poles in the location. And when there is an existing pole that we can add light to, then we can move forward with the petition. If there's no existing poles, in the case of a petition, it would be the responsibility of the property owners to do all of the underground work and do addition of poles and lights for that area. So it depends on if it's development-driven versus petition-driven on how we establish that. In the case of the city of Happy Valley, it's a little bit different because they have passed in their ordinance a decorative style pole. So they pay a little higher rate because they've chosen to go with a Westbrook style, which is a more decorative style of light. So there's assessment done in the field and assessment on what the proposal is for the development.
Second question I have is there's a wide variety of differences in price per year. Now, I realize that a wooden pole may not cost as much money as the different kinds of decorative poles, et cetera, but at a certain point, that would be paid for. It strikes me, unless I'm incorrect, which I may well be, that the amount of electricity used would be the same. So at some point in time, logically, it would appear that you would reduce the price because you're going to be using the same amount of electricity no matter what kind of pole it's on. What is the error in my thinking? Because I suspect there is one. I'll put it that way.
The rates are comprised of not only the electricity costs, but also the ongoing maintenance and replacement of the lights. So there's a percentage of that we are anticipating that eventually those are going to have to be replaced. The cost of those particular poles and fixtures are passed forward from PGE, per se, and the manufacturer. So we're subject to pay whatever the ongoing maintenance and rate is for those particular style lights. So where the Westbrook costs more, a big portion of that is the replacement cost and ongoing maintenance for that particular light and style.
So PG&E sets that rate.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commissioner Fisher.
Yeah, I'm just curious about this. I know one of the streets that is mentioned, and I'm just thinking about how dark it is on that particular street. So I'm just curious, what is the process to look at light pollution and to mitigate light pollution? Because I know a lot of our nighttime is very important and dark is very important to some of our habitat. And just curious, what's the process?
No, that's fair. Well, right now, there's a push. Dark sky friendly is a big word out there that people commonly use for assessing light pollution, and that's something that PG is always working with the manufacturers to reduce, yeah, and hopefully cause less pollution. Currently in the district, there's only one full cutoff light, which is the Westbrook style light. However, a handful of years ago, we did a conversion to LED lighting, which is less light pollution because it is a flat lens and it directs the light where it needs to go, rather than having a lot of what we consider light trespass. It's lighting everything but the location you want to light. Manufacturers are always looking at that, and we're always analyzing it with PGE, and PGE has regular meetings to discuss those options, and they pass them on to the district when they have created a new light category that might be an option for the district to add. That's how we came about the Westbrook style light, because it became a technology that we could use at an affordable price.
Yeah, thank you.
Been doing this a while.
Yeah, you know your lights.
Yes, and you know, some communities have dark sky code, like Happy Valley, Wilsonville has one in Villebois, where they could only use a certain type of light that, you know, kept that from happening, but there's still a lot of light. I lived in Villebois, and it was quite bright. But some cities and communities have that as one of their codes, and I think that the newer lights have definitely reduced some of that. Like you said, the flatter lens and stuff. Okay, so I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to testify on this matter. Okay, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the board orders for the 8 assessment areas as presented.
Second.
Moved and second that we approve a board order for the 8 assessment areas as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thanks for coming. Yeah. Next item is the consent. Oh, wait, we'll announce that the board will adjourn as the Service District Number 5 and reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners for the remainder of the meeting. And what's up? The consent agenda? I'd ask the clerk to read the consent agenda.
Okay, I might as well put it up there since the screen's down. Today's consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, approval of a construction contract with Oregon Underground for the Virgil Road Waterline Project in Colton. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Multnomah County for the HIV Early Intervention and Outreach Project. Approval for a revenue agreement with Care Oregon for trauma-informed dental care. Approval of a professional, technical, and personal services contract with LifeWorks Northwest to provide flexible funding services. Approval of a professional, technical, and personal services contract with LifeWorks Northwest for supported employment services to uninsured and indigent residents. Approval of a professional, technical, and personal services contract with LifeWorks Northwest for supported employment services to Health Share Medicaid residents. Approval of a public health division, approval for the Public Health Division to apply for the Public Health National Center for Innovation Diffusion Grant Opportunity. Under the Department of Transportation and Development, approval of a resolution declaring the public necessity and purpose for acquisition of right-of-way and easements for the Southeast Toll Bank Road, River Road Trolley Trail Sidewalk Project, and authorizing negotiations and eminent domain actions. Approval of a contract with North Santiam Paving Company for the Maple Lane paving package. Authorization to purchase Rada paint for the Clackamas County Road Department for road striping. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes and approval of a contract with 911 Supply, Inc. for uniforms for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Under County Administration, approval of Amendment Number 4 to the Personal Services Contract with Managing for Results for Strategic Planning Services for the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and ratifying payments for previously performed work. Under Business and Community Services, approval of an agreement with McKenzie Engineering for the development of the Clackamas County Employment Land Strategy. Under Technology Services, approval to add 4 additional fiber connections to the intergovernmental agreement between Clackamas Broadband Exchange and North Clackamas School District. Under Water Environment Services, approval of an intergovernmental agreement with Portland State University regarding Oregon consensus, and approval of a contract with Kennedy Jinks Consultants for the Tri-City Hydrolyte Disinfection and Standard Update. That concludes today's consent agenda.
Thank you. Ken, would you light the old light? I turned it off. Or did you have a new? Oh, you do have a new one. Okay. So, did you have something?
Just some questions.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm curious as to what, quote, supported employment services entails. Is there anyone from the department here that can answer that question?
Probably not.
That's items 5 and 6. If not, I can contact the department. I'll ask them directly.
Okay.
But I was just curious as to what that meant, what kind of services they were talking about. Under Department of Transportation and Development, item number 1, eminent domain. What kind of eminent domain action are we talking about? Does anyone know the answer to that?
I don't know the particulars of the project. That's something that we can certainly get to you if it's not something that you want to move forward with right now. You want more information on it, I would suggest pulling that.
Yeah, I mean, are we just talking about a strip of land for a sidewalk or something of that nature, or are we talking about something larger? I'd like to know. Whenever government's involved in a land taking, I like to know for sure what it is we're doing and that the reasoning is solid behind that.
I thought normally we get a presentation on these, and I thought we maybe did on this particular one. I know we had one coming up.
Yeah, I don't recall it,
And
so,
they had
but I can contact the department if necessary.
Okay.
And then I just wanted to point out under Technology Services, item number 1, our CBX broadband services is really taking off, and more and more public agencies are requesting our service, and that in and of itself is saving our taxpayers a great deal of money as we've expanded that service. Again, I'll point out, just as an example, in Lake Oswego, we're saving the citizens of Lake Oswego $25,000 a month as a result of this service. And in Colton, we're saving the school district $10,000 a month approximately as a result of this service. And for most taxpayers, I realize that they kind of just pay the tax bill and don't look at every specific place that it goes. But when we have an opportunity to make sure taxpayers' monies are being saved appropriately, I think it's great that we take advantage of it. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
I have a definition for you of supported employment services. Supported employment is an evidence-based practice with services intended to promote rehabilitation and return to productive employment. And these services are serving Medicaid residents and uninsured and indigent residents.
And
Still
I
not,
can- I
it's still
can-
not specific about what it means.
I can add just a little bit of flavor to it. In the field of developmental disabilities, there's a person that helps provide an assessment, a vocational assessment, to look at what are the interests, needs, strengths, challenges of a person that has had barriers to employment. There's an effort to break down those barriers, and often supported employment includes a vocational coach that goes with the person that has barriers and works with the person to teach the job. It's usually very short term, and then they step out and the person is employed. I am not sure if that process is the same for this. This is for behavioral health, for people with mental health challenges and indigent, but I'm assuming that the term is transferable. But it's highly successful, it is evidence-based, and it really works. And it makes people feel really good when they can go to work every day, get that paycheck, and contribute in that way.
Yeah, it's more a question of exactly what did it mean, practically speaking, on the ground.
Yep.
Instead of in bureaucratese, quite frankly. So, thank you. That's all I had, Mr. Chairman.
So Nate,
Yeah, I was just going to clarify the eminent domain item for you. At least the description of the project, it's a sidewalk facility project on Southeast Torbank in between River Road and Oak Grove Elementary School. And so primarily pedestrian facilities, also upgrades to some of the driveways that will be impacted. So we're not talking, significant road widening here. Does appear to be limited to those pedestrian facilities and sort of the impacts. Yep.
yeah, it seems like Torbank is maybe off Courtney. Not positive.
Actually, what I should
I remember the road. Okay. Yeah, I remember I had a friend who lived just right by there. So it's just for sidewalks.
Yeah.
All right, so, pardon?
Just wanted to be sure of that.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and second that we approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? With that, I'll entertain, oops, I already did that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you. And we're on to the county administrator updates.
Okay, I have a couple of items to share with you today, Commissioners, so thank you. In April, the Early Childhood Parenting Education Hub here at the county, it's part of our Health, Housing, and Human Services Department, held a 2-hour evening workshop in Gladstone for parents of young children. It's a free workshop focused on the impacts of digital media on the development of small children. The event was a huge success. They saw 36 parents and 35 children attended. The parents were engaged and inspired to build healthy screen limits for their kids. As one person said, "This was so informative, I wish I could have invited everyone I live with or am related to." So thanks to those who came out, and I also want to share thanks to the relevant staff at the Education Hub for making the event a success. And also, Water Environment Services, WES, is partnering with the environmental nonprofit Solve on their brand new Summer Waterway Cleanups series. The effort kicks off at the Three Creeks Natural Area just south of the North Clackamas Aquatic Park next Wednesday morning. Nearly 70 volunteers are already signed up to help clean up the nearly 90-acre site that features the convergence of Mount Phillips, and Deer Creeks. It's a 3-month cleanup series. It has multiple funders, although WES is being featured as the key partner this summer. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Communications, and Ken, you're up.
Thank you. First, I'm pleased to announce that after a year and a half of being here, and I think an additional 2 or 3 years prior to arriving here, we have finally come up with a Fair Board memorandum of agreement. Next week, it'll be on our agenda for signing, and we're looking forward to the Fair Board, Executive Board being here to participate in the signing process. Attended the Government Camp CPO this week to hear some of the concerns that they have up there, and as always, they are interested in working out the road issue. So I'm waiting for them to give me some information that might be helpful on resolving that. Went to AOC and the Veterans Committee and brought back some paperwork to our Health, Housing, and Human Services folks on grant opportunity for them to take a look at. Attended the Stafford CPO meeting this week, and diversion of traffic was a critical issue on this whole I-205 issue. That is very important to them. They are suffering the consequences of the crowded 205 right now, and are concerned that however we do, or the state does this tolling, that it reduces the diversion and not increases that diversion. Attended the dental clinic expansion opening this week with Chair Bernard. The much nicer new facilities over there, new equipment over there, a much more friendly and open environment for the clients to come in and get dental services, and a really nice work environment for the staff that are working there. And I've been having some discussions, as always, on cross-laminated timber, looking at the potential use of those in our county projects, including the extension project, the court project. I had a meeting with Swinnerton Construction this week, who are doing a facility over in Hillsborough and using cross-laminated timber. They're excited as a construction company about it, and it was interesting to see that the time frame for the original construction would have been 18 months, and they were able to shorten that time frame by over 4 months by a combination of the materials, how the materials are prepared in advance, and how they staged the construction. And through all of that, they saved at least 4 months worth of time, which makes the building actually less expensive, even though the materials might be a little bit more expensive. And they want to work with Clackamas County on our projects as we go forward. So we're looking forward to hopefully a good working relationship there. And that concludes my comments. And now I have the dog, and this time I remembered. But thank you, Mary. So this is Chubbles. Meet Chubbles. And he could be called a boogie-woogie beagle boy because he likes to sing. He's a 9-year-old gentleman who would love to be your lifelong companion. He loves people and making friends. His tail wags with a gleeful grin as a greeting. A loving home, some exercise, and a good diet would make him happy. Come meet Chubbles today, and he might sing for you. For more information about Chubbles and other adoptable dogs, please contact Clackamas County Dog Services at 503-655-8628 or www.clackamas.us/dogs. Thank you.
Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So Tuesday was Election Day, May 15th, and there were a lot of things on the ballot in Clackamas County. We had in the Gladstone Library, there was West Lynn had a bond, there was, help me out here, what else we had? There was Estacada, there were,
I can't remember them all.
there were a lot of issues all across the county.
Happy Valley Parks.
Oh, Happy Valley, for their parks. Anything else that I missed? So, a lot of important issues across the county. I was on the ballot running, as was Commissioner Savas was running. I think everything passed. Commissioner Savas will be with us for another 4 years. I am here for another, well, I guess 4.5 years. 4.5 years. We have some stability on our commission, which I think is wonderful. The one disturbing part of the election is that 28%, a little over 28% of the electorate in Clackamas County voted. And that's surprising to me when I think we have important issues that are up. We have a lot of work to do in engaging the public. I will commit for the next 4.5 years to be out there and connecting and communicating why what we do in county government is so important, because the decisions we make touch the lives of everyone that lives in Clackamas County. And beyond that, the decisions, the issues that come up to us create our motivation to communicate with our fellow jurisdictions around the region, with our state legislators, and even with our congressional delegation. So who sits in these chairs and who sits on our local city councils and who is representing us in Salem? These are very important decisions, and I want to encourage everyone to engage and to be informed and involved because it's very important. So,
That's it? All right. First, congratulations, and congratulations to Paul. I'd say that Sonia was the luckiest one because she had no opponents. I don't think well, maybe as mayor I had a couple where I had no opponent, but at this level, it's unusual not to have an opponent. So congratulations, and Paul did quite well. Winning in the primaries also a great benefit. It saves a lot of time, and actually he can get to work on many of the issues of concern to the county. I attended last week, or no, I guess it was this week, the courthouse task force, which I've been on for a long time. I think this was the 4th version, and happy to say that Clackamas County is the top of the list. Half of the cost of the courthouse, not including various portions that, like the DA, I believe, and anything else we want in there will be paid for by the state of Oregon. It's unusual that we have this opportunity. We requested 1/3 of the money, which is about $31 million, which would be 2019 and 2020 when we would use that money. And pretty excited about it. I know that Oregon City's excited about it. They'd love to have an opportunity to do something with that building. And also parking has been a huge issue in Oregon City. I also went to D.C., and one thing that Les mentioned about 205, we actually had an opportunity to sit down with Washington Dot, W-A dot, I don't know, they call that Watch Dot. This is Washington, is something like that. Watch Dot. In D.C., and we were with the deciders. You could call them the deciders, and we're in order to move forward on the 205 and the Abernathy Bridge, we need more money, and we requested that while we were there. And one of those deciders said, send that information directly to me, which was kind of unusual. But we're also an unusual group in that most people don't do what we do, bring a large contingent to Washington, D.C., working on asking them support, because we negotiate all this stuff, and by the time we get there, we're supporting each other. Washington County was very supportive of Clackamas County, as was TriMet and everybody else. Clackamas County's desire to do something with 205 and the Abernathy Bridge. Also had an opportunity to go to I stayed a couple extra days and had an opportunity to see my grandchild and grandchildren, and it was great. They had worked hard to train one of them, Grayson, to call me Grandpa, which was very kind of fun.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah. I also went to the National Museum of African History and Culture. I found it to be very challenging, heartbreaking. Basically, you take an elevator down to about the 1400s and start talking about the history, and I thought it was pretty disturbing. I think by the time I got to the 4th or 5th floor, I couldn't wait to get out of there, because there's so much reoccurring history today. The African American population built this country. They were brought here to build this country. They built a lot of the commerce, a lot of the buildings. They fought in our wars, and yet it took them so long to have the right to vote. They're still struggling to stay in a Starbucks and not buy something. They're still shot on the street just because they're black. And I felt that today, we're doing the same thing, the Mexican American population. I'm remodeling my home. The most skilled people in this country are actually, I shouldn't say that. There are a lot of skilled people in the housing industry are Mexicans. They're not allowed in this country, so my project, which should have been 3 months, will take a year because there's not enough help. And that's true all over the place, that a lot of those skilled workers aren't able to be here and do the work we need. These are the same people who have built our country and have fought in our wars, who are teachers, dreamers, and many other things, and we don't want them here. And I shouldn't say we don't. They're being kept out of the country, and it's sad. I was just devastated. I've been to the Holocaust Museum. I don't know if you guys have been there.
Yeah.
I felt the same thing. I could hardly stay in the room very long. It was so painful. But it's certainly worth going to. And I know that I talked to one of our staffers, and by the time they got to the end of the museum, they were in tears. I was in tears probably within 5 minutes, and particularly a hanging of a 15-year-old black kid for no reason at all, basically. But it was very, very devastating. Certainly worth going to. History, I think Ken will tell you how important history is, and that we understand it and learn it so that we don't make the same mistakes. When I was a kid, the Japanese internment camps, of course, I wasn't a kid then. I wasn't born. But many families from Milwaukee, families I knew, had come back from the internment camps in Tule Lake. And one of the things I'm proud about my father is that a lot of those people were farmers, and they lost their land. But in Milwaukee, folks fought to make sure they didn't lose their land. Where Omark Industrial Park is today used to be a farm of some of those families that were in internment camps. They came home. The land was preserved for them. Eventually, they sold it to Omark and that industrial park. But that's one of the things I'm proud that my father was able to help with. And I actually had an opportunity to work on one of those farms when I was a little kid. But we can't make those same mistakes, and I hope that we don't. I certainly learned, I didn't know a lot of the history, but we have some great opportunities in this country. I was very concerned about the discussion on the Farm Bill this morning. I didn't actually know Kurt Schrader, who helped pass it the last time. A small percentage helps some farmers. The rest is the SNAP program. And I think one of our rights in this country should be we have the right to eat. And I hope that that bill passes and the SNAP program continues at the farmers market. We, Milwaukee Sunday Farmers Market, and probably all of them, we accept SNAP, and we issue wooden nickels, and they spend those at the booths. And that's a very important program. And, you know, for young mothers and families to make sure their kids have food to eat. So with that, we will be adjourned. Thank you. Have a great weekend.